There's a huge opportunity for clients to, again, based on the use case, to actually deploy AI to the mainframe. And that's why we've made investments within IBM on the mainframe, like the IBM Telum processor that's used on the Z16, which has an on-chip AI accelerator, right? The reason for that is because our clients and mainframe folks absolutely do want to deploy AI on the mainframe.
Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya and welcome to Mainframe Matters. And today we have two guests from IBM, Andrew Sica, Senior Technical Staff Member, and Ivan Rivera, AI Software Engineer. Andrew, Ivan, it's great to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to host you both here. Let's quickly talk about, of course, the theme of today's discussion is, AI and mainframe. Since you folks are here, I ask this question again and again. The reason is that sometimes we have to reinforce a view or repeat the message. And the message I want is that what is the role of mainframe in this modern world before we talk about AI, Gen AI, and all those stuff?
The mainframe is still, as we all know, right? It's still incredibly relevant. It is running absolutely a large number of the mission critical workloads across a number of industries. So it's still a very, very vibrant platform and a very modern platform if you look at the capabilities that we have on the mainframe. And so really it is still at the core of enterprise and business workloads right across a large number of industries. So I think we certainly view it as a very vibrant and relevant platform.
Now let's talk about AI and mainframe. Now when we talk about AI, we can talk about traditional AI that we have been using for decades, or we can also talk about generative AI or Gen AI, that LLMs that we talk a lot about. Let's talk about AI and mainframe, and then of course we'll talk about AI over years.
To follow up on the point we were just on, to a degree, of the relevance of the mainframe today, it is still absolutely running critical workloads across a large variety of industries, whether it's finance or insurance, right? Certainly across a range of other industries, government, et cetera. So it's still a very relevant platform. And what that means is it's also still running, many mission critical workloads for a lot of large enterprises and governments. So it's got those critical workloads as well as very, very critical and rich data. So with it being, a platform that businesses really rely on, we put that in the context of AI. And AI is a very transformative technology. You mentioned, generative AI, and certainly with the advent of ChatGPT, we are seeing in the public space AI having getting more attention, having a bigger impact in public. But in the enterprise world, machine learning and traditional AI capabilities have been having an impact for some time and are still where we see a massive opportunity. So AI can help businesses and enterprises make better business decisions, right? Not just using rules, but making decisions that have a predictive nature to them as well. It can help them manage their systems and resources better as well, right? Through things like anomaly detection and AI ops capabilities. So you sort of bring those aspects together. And when we leverage AI on the mainframe, it gives us that ability to get insights quicker, whether it's business insights or operational insights on the mainframe in place. And I really believe that businesses that don't embrace AI, which are becoming a smaller and smaller set, by the way, but businesses that don't embrace AI are just going to be left behind.
Not only embracing AI, but embracing some of those open source technologies and some of the latest technologies that, those cutting edge technologies that all these developers in the industry are using, right? Whether that's TensorFlow, for model training, Triton Inference Server for deployment, right? Just making sure that there's a wide range and a vast ecosystem, right, available to users that are looking to deploy AI on the mainframe, and that's what we provide today.
When we look at AI and mainframe, of course, mainframes, are super powerful systems there. But when we look at AI to run those LLMs, you also need, a ton of resources. So when we look at mainframe, are we looking at mainframe as a target to run AI workloads, or is mainframe for businesses who are leveraging AI to enable them to better use AI on mainframe. So I just want to understand, where does AI fit on mainframe? Does that question make sense?
It absolutely does. And I think where we see is there's a huge opportunity for clients to, again, based on the use case, to actually deploy AI to the mainframe. And that's why we've made investments within IBM on the mainframe, like the IBM Telum processor that's used on the Z16, which has an on-chip AI accelerator, right? The reason for that is because our clients, right, and mainframe folks absolutely do want to deploy mainframe AI on the mainframe to get better insights, right? So you think about use cases like fraud detection, for example. The closer we can bring AI and the AI models and inference serving environments, for example, the closer we can bring that to the business workload, right, the more rapidly we're going to be able to make a business decision. And so ultimately, right, the sort of golden path a lot of customers are heading towards is to be able to make business decisions, right, for things like fraud detection in real time. And so really, in order to do that, right, we've got to have AI running on the mainframe as a fully supported, right, workload. And that's really what we've enabled with things like, the AI accelerator, but Evan also mentioned open source frameworks, right, having the right software ecosystem available as well.
When we look at generative AI versus AI, these can be seen as two different things, different kind of workloads, different approach, or of course, depending on who you talk to, what is the place for Gen AI on the mainframe? Or it doesn't matter?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we are looking at, right, what use cases. I think to answer your question directly, it's going to be use case based, right? So to give you an example, there may be data that's used by, right, certain foundation model or generative AI models that has a sensitivity to it, right? That's mainframe based that customers may not want to move off the platform. We see those sorts of things in particular in regulated industries. So I think to go back to the question a bit, a lot of whether or not Z is the right fit for a use case, right, is going to depend on those use cases and sort of how they relate to the workloads or data that run on the platform. So if I go back to the earlier response, obviously the transactional AI, right, the applications of AI in transaction, like fraud detection, are going to have a very tight affinity to the platform. But we are also looking at other use cases where foundation models or generative AI might be relevant, and working to further enhance our overall stack to make sure that, right, we can be relevant in those use cases as well.
Just give example of some of the use cases which are either getting a lot of traction, or you see, hey, these are ideal, or these are a lot of use cases that you're seeing are running on mainframe.
Traditional AI in particular, right, has been it's a great first target, and that often was our focus when we were thinking about the Z16 capabilities. So if you think about fraud detection and financial crimes, because of the volume of, right, financial, right, workloads that run on the platform, those are very, very common use case. One of the things that Evan and I do is we work very closely with a number of our customers, right, big enterprises on getting the best benefit out of their IBM Z investments, right? And so, fraud detection comes up frequently, and different types of risk analysis, right? So it might be insurance claims processing or claims resolution. We also, though, see use cases that you would consider as like not very typical for Z. So we do have customers that have deployed chatbots, right, to Linux on Z, for example, and are also looking at different types of image processing. So it's really one of the most interesting things we've seen is when we work with mainframe folks, the variety of use cases that they come up with is just it's tremendous, right? And generally, it really the right way to look at this is what business problems do you have? How do they relate to the workloads that you have on the mainframe? And can AI provide some benefit? And it really is the art of the possible is just so incredibly broad, right? There is a lot of opportunity. And that's before we even get into things like AI ops and how it can help you monitor your systems, right, better and identify anomalies and things like that as well.
Running AI workloads on mainframe, that is totally fine. But how mainframers are also leveraging AI, as you mentioned, system monitoring to just keep an eye on the system to improve the system itself.
Generally, the way that we've seen this is through like whether it's IBM or vendor products that leverage AI, right, or let's say leverage machine learning to provide some benefit. So we see a lot of solutions popping up in the AI ops space in particular that, look at the massive amount of system data that, for example, ZOS produces between SMF records and different types of logs, whether it's Opera log, log rec or system trace data, right? Looks at that information and really tries to provide some insight, right? So that can help you, of course, identify right anomalies. It can help you identify right system situations that may lead to a sick but not dead or a failure, right, of a critical workload. But it can also give you more insights about what's really going on in your platform. So it's AI can also help a great deal with just facilitating a better understanding, right, of your system's environment, which is especially critical when we think about the power of these systems, how much work they actually are processing, and how difficult it is for a human to keep up with those things. And I think even then, to just add one thing to that, right, in ZOS 3.1, for example, we introduced some capabilities to start to manage system resources as well, leveraging AI. And right, the initial use case is through WLM, right, workload manager batch initiators, where we actually leverage AI to right look at right system activity and basically predict demand, and if the client enables it, right, to actually allocate new WLM initiators to satisfy right that prediction of system demand. So in the future, you could definitely see there's a path here where, although systems, right, the world is just becoming more complex, right, there is a path for AI to provide some relief and really help on the system management front.
Can you talk about some of the open mainframe projects that may be related to AI, or folks are leveraging those when it comes to AI related workloads or system wide monitoring?
Absolutely, we have a presence in the Open Mainframe Project space, right? More specifically, right, Project Ampetus, right? And the mission of Project Ampetus, right, is really to foster a community that can help educate developers about all open source technologies that are available on ZOS and Linux on Z, right? And so that mission very much aligns with an initiative that we recently released around AI solution templates on IBM Z and Linux One. And so you can think of these as really a blueprint of getting started with AI, with deploying AI solutions on the mainframe, whether it's IBM Z or Linux One, right? And these touch on, right, so it provides sample code, right? It references sample data sets, some high quality synthetic sample data sets, some of which have actually been published by IBM Research, right? And so we use these data sets and we provide model training pipelines, right, to deploy your model, to build your model, and then guidance around deploying your model on the mainframe, right, using various different AI inferencing stacks, right? And once you have your model deployed, integrating it into various applications, whether that's a web-based applications, whether those are Kix, COBOL applications, right? And then finally, also providing some guidance on insights into the predictions that your AI models are making, right? So analysis applications. And so you can think of these as a really good way to jumpstart an AI project, really serve as a rapid proof of concept or prototyping sort of solution, right? And as I mentioned, right, these are all available within the open source domain and have been put under the Open Mainframe Project's Ampetus sort of umbrella?
There's a lot of help available to get started. Evan touched on the solution templates, which are just a fantastic like general starting point if you want to get your hands on some AI assets and really understand what the process looks like. But in general, the way the folks that are used to dealing with AI and used to working with data science packages and libraries, they're going to look and feel very similar on Z and in Z environments as they do on x86 and in cloud environments. So there's a wealth of resources in the ecosystem and examples that you can leverage. And certainly the solution templates Evan mentioned are one of them. But additionally, there's a lot of content in terms of red books, right, and GitHub assets that IBM and others have made available that also outline some of the key technologies we have and different starting points. One thing that we have that I will highlight, which is something that we've made available, it doesn't cost anything, right, for ZOS or Linux on Z clients to get started with, is we do also offer discovery workshops where effectively we would get together and have a mini workshop with some folks from let's say a particular client and help them understand the capabilities and based on their use case find the right starting point, right? So there are key assets like that that are available, but just taking a step back for a moment, I also think, right, the ecosystem is just incredibly important. So as we move forward, the Open Mainframe Project is going to continue to be, in addition to Project Ampetus, which is part of the OMP, is going to continue to be a really great way for the community to collaborate on really AI assets, AI resources, and the capabilities that we need in the ecosystem.
What advice you folks have for those who want to get started with AI on a mainframe?
Okay, so we have a GitHub 101 page, which really outlines a lot of the really highly optimized technologies we've been working on from a Z perspective. And that includes libraries like TensorFlow and our Onyx deep learning compiler, as well as some IBM research libraries. And all of these are very highly optimized for the platform and are great, technologies to get your hands on. So we do have a 101 page that really highlights all of the different starting points here. And that's just a great place to start in general, because it will have not only the libraries, but links to examples and assets like the solution templates. I think that's a good place to get some background information. If you're really interested in leveraging AI and exploring a business problem like fraud detection for let's say for credit card authorizations, or fraud detection for insurance claims, a real business use case. We also do have resources like the workshops that I was mentioning that can really help you get a jump start on those. And basically the easiest way to get started with that is to reach out to me, through my email address, which we'll make available. But that's something that's available at no charge, right? So there's really a gamut of help available based on where you are in the journey and what entry point you're looking to get into.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate as well that, as far as getting started, Andrew mentioned GitHub and those various resources that are available. And, we spoke about the open source domain, right? So these technologies look very, very similar, right, within the mainframe, right? So if you are, let's say, a student learning TensorFlow or scikit-learn, or just in the industry working within different spaces or outside of the mainframe, those skills can be applied here, right? So those skills are still valuable. When we point you to these resources, right, what you're getting an added benefit, right, with these technologies on Z because they're being highly optimized, all right? And so they're very performant. And so the skills that you have as far as getting started and using those data scientist skills, they very much are applicable and can be used, right? It's just that underlying hardware that's accelerated, which is not really visible to you right? When you perform your inferencing, that kind of expedites that process, right? So you can leverage some of those general open source resources, right? Just to, so you have that foundational AI knowledge.
Andrew, Ivan, thank you so much for taking time out today and of course talk about AI on mainframe. Thanks for great insights. And as usual, I will look forward to chat with you guys again soon. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.